Throughout the whole month of March, I challenged myself to make one art piece a day. Hi, my name is Grace, and I am an artist, art educator, and relatively new mom. This video is going to explore the process of that art challenge and the discoveries I made along the way, as well as some of the bumps in the road. And it's going to be kind of me reflecting back on this experience and showing you how it went. Week 1. This first week, I was really just trying to find my groove with this challenge. I was using my daughter's nap time to do most of the pieces. That was like my allocated time during the day. By the end of the week, I felt like I was in a good rhythm with that schedule, but it still wasn't perfect. You can only plan for a vague amount of time because naps can be variable. I wanted to show you guys videos of me making the pieces, but I also wanted to show you bits of my month as well. I did a lot of hiking this month, so that really inspired my mindset going into these pieces. A lot of them are inspired by the natural world. That's kind of a common theme within my work. I feel like being outside helps me clear my head, but it's also inspiring for my creative process, especially exercising outdoors. I think that's a great way for me to clear my head. I always feel a lot more energized and motivated to do creative things. I also did taxes this week in March, and that was a little bit stressful, but my daughter got to hold a cute little tax donkey stuffed animal there. But yeah, by the end of the week, I felt like I had gotten into a good routine, and I felt really good creatively. Week 2 was an easy transition from week 1, but I did have to make a couple extra artworks. We had some friends coming into town to visit, and we were also visiting family out of town and celebrating my husband's birthday. So I knew there were going to be a couple days that I just wasn't going to have time to make something during that day because we were either traveling or we had people here. And so I think with these challenges, it's important to give yourself flexibility. And so to prepare for those days, I made my normal piece for the day, but then I also made an extra one to stay on track. And so I had to work in the evenings a little bit. One of my favorite art elements from this week was incorporating the figure 8 knot in 2 of the pieces. A figure 8 knot is the knot that climbers use to tie into a rope, and I love to climb, and I love that nod to climbing without it being too on the nose or feeling hokey or feeling too much like, oh, this is a climber piece of art. I want to incorporate parts of myself into my work without it feeling like, I don't want to make it feel too much like it has to be this thing. It has to be a climbing rope. It can be a nod to a lot of things. Birthday to you, happy birthday to you. Okay, oh, she's so happy. Happy birthday again. Woohoo! Yay! Week 3. This was the week where I really started to feel the weight of making a piece a day. I was in a good rhythm and a good routine, but I was pretty locked into that routine. And the schedule, I started feeling that lack of time to be able to invest in other creative projects during the month. But it was also nice in that way because it forced me to see the series through and to stay consistent. I think a lot of times we can start getting itchy and wanting to make something new or shift gears. And I think that's great, but I also think challenging yourself to see something through from start to finish can be a great exercise in consistency. The 4x6 inch size that I chose to make each piece was a great choice because although I felt the weight of this challenge at this point, the size of each piece made it feel like I could handle making that size of piece each day. It felt like a bite-sized piece of art that I could tackle each day. Another thing I did with this week, I did some more hiking this week, and I went to check out a friend's new van. She's planning on living in it this next year, and I may do a mural in it for her. If I end up painting in it, I'll make a YouTube video about it, and so you guys can see that process too. Week 4, the last full week of this challenge. As this week played out, I started to feel a little stale on some of the thumbnail ideas that I sketched for this challenge. I sketched about 40 thumbnail ideas, which was so beneficial. If you are thinking about doing a creative challenge like this in some ways, highly recommend sketching out some thumbnail ideas that when you sit down to make your whatever you're making, you have ideas already that you can pull from. But I had at this point made so many of my thumbnail ideas and I felt like I'd been looking at them for weeks, but pushed through, chose one, went with it, and week 4 turned out nice because I pushed through and I was grateful I did. This week I felt like I leaned more into some of the folk art inspirations that I had been using. I used the oak leaf motif quite a few times, as well as the sawtooth star throughout the series. But I felt like day 23 and day 26 feel really nice and folksy to me, but they also feel true to the style that I make in. And I love a nice combination of those things. It always feels good when inspirations and your own unique style mend really nicely and meld together in a way that feels really authentic. The final 3 days. The end of the challenge felt really satisfying, but also brought some challenging times personally. We found out that we're going to have to move out of our current place because it's going to be sold, which was a major bummer, but because of that, I was grateful for this project so I could put some energy into something and escape the stress of real life for a little bit and just draw some animals. That was kind of what I was feeling by the end of this challenge, so I drew some horses. I drew a chicken with a little chick inside. The final piece very much felt like a classic Grace collage piece, and it felt like I was closing the loop in this series by going back to my collage roots. So overall, the challenge was just that. It was a challenge for me. I had to really dig deep at certain points and really make it a priority, and I'm glad I did. I really loved the body of work that came out from the effort that I put in. I feel like the effort to outcome ratio was really nice with this challenge. I've never been able to complete like an Inktober or anything like that, those kind of monthly challenges. I find it hard to buy in a lot because I don't kind of create the parameters for myself. So this was really nice to do a monthly challenge, but I was in charge of the rules, and that helped me buy in a lot more. I had 3 goals when it came to this challenge. I didn't talk about them at the beginning, but I'll kind of give you an overview of what I was trying to accomplish. So my first goal for this challenge was to consciously observe how my style changed or evolved, and if it did in any way. And I would say watching the pieces as I made them and comparing them to each other and seeing them as a body of work, I don't know if I necessarily saw a lot of evolution when it came to my style itself. I think the biggest evolution I saw was with my art practice. that routine that I got into day after day of sitting down and making work. And that was the expectation for the day. You were going to make a piece of art. Obviously, it didn't always work out like that because I had some vacations and, life happens. So some days I was like, all right, I got to make 2 pieces of art today to stay on track with this challenge. And that was really nice. Anybody that's a parent can attest that if you are not going to make something a priority, it's not going to happen with a baby, or I don't have multiple kids, but I've got a dog and a baby. That was a really nice aspect of it, to know that I can carve out some time in my day to make art, and that is possible, and I could do it on a daily basis. I think it's a cool outcome of the challenge. Number 2 goal was challenging myself to consistency. The goal being, be consistent. I was consistent. That is something I can pat myself on the back with, and I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to challenge myself to be that consistent. I probably won't keep up that kind of workflow in the future, but it's nice to know that I can work on something a little bit every day, at least a little bit. My 3rd goal for this challenge was to be playful. I don't think that this challenge was set up in a way to really enable a playfulness in the way that I initially made the goal. And so that was something that I don't necessarily think I achieved super great, but going back to what I said about the first goal, I felt like my breadth of subject matter, how I used my visual language and technique, it got wider but also deeper. And so I think that can play into playfulness. Like, I have more tools in my toolbox to use in the future because of this challenge. And I think that was really nice. I hope you enjoyed watching this art challenge and seeing a bit of my month of March. It was fun to take you along with me. I've never been able to be that consistent in making art every day, but also filming it every day and documenting it. That's a huge part of the challenge that I didn't dive too much in, but it's been fun and it's been satisfying. If you loved the video or even liked the video, give it a like, comment, subscribe. I would love to hear if you guys would like to challenge yourselves to create something every day. Obviously, it doesn't have to be paintings or drawings. You can sew, you can sculpt, you can knit, you can crochet, you can woodwork, you can do whatever. Just challenge yourself to create something every day. Or challenge yourself to create something today and then see how you feel. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.